Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm not baking, I'm going to make some raspberry ruffles. These are little chocolates that were very popular when I was a child, and you can still buy them in some shops these days. So they're a coconut filling with raspberry flavour, and they're coated in dark chocolate. Very, very nice. So I thought I would try to make some, and they're actually quite simple to make. You just mix a few ingredients together to form the filling. Then you can mould that into balls. I think I'm going to chill mine, mould it, and then coat it in dark chocolate. So I'll go on to the ingredients, and for this I have 200 grams, which is 2 2/3 cups of desiccated coconut. I simply poured the coconut into my cup measure and weighed it out until it was 200 grams. I have 160 grams, half a cup of condensed milk. I have 2 packets or 2 sachets which are joined together, and that's a total of 23 grams of sugar-free jelly powder, and I have 60 grams of icing sugar, which I have sifted because it tends to be a bit lumpy. Then I have 250 grams, I may need slightly more, but 250 grams of dark chocolate, and that is about 9 ounces of dark chocolate. And so the first thing I'm going to do is to put the jelly powder into my caster sugar, my icing sugar, and I'm going to mix that around. And I'm using 2 packets, but if you want to just try 1 packet, it depends on the strength of raspberry flavour you want, I guess. And I'm going to stir that around like that. And then I'm going to tip that into the coconut. And again, stir it around to get that mixed in. And then I'm simply going to put in the condensed milk as well. And I'm going to mix everything together. And it's going to become sticky and stiff, so I'm going to use a spoon. And then I'm going to use my hand just to get the rest of it mixed in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide that into 24 equally sized pieces, and I estimate that that's going to be about 18 grams. And probably about a good tablespoon. So I'll just check that for weight. That's a bit too much. So about that much, which if I put it into a tablespoon measure, you can see that it's a good tablespoon. And I'm going to roll that into a ball, and I'm going to put it onto a baking tray and do the same with the remainder. So I've divided those fairly evenly into 24 balls, which I've pressed a little bit flatter so that they're flat on the bottom a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to let those chill while I melt my chocolate. And the chocolate is going to be melted over a pan of water until it's completely dissolved, and then it will be ready to coat the coconut. So you don't need to watch the chocolate melting. Once it's melted, I'll come back and we'll coat the coconut and make the raspberry ruffles. So I've melted my chocolate, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each ball of my raspberry ruffle coconut mix, and I'm going to dip it in and turn it over in the chocolate to coat it. And then once it's coated completely, I'm going to lift it up and then take off any excess chocolate and simply put it onto my baking tray that is coated in parchment paper, covered in parchment paper. And if the chocolate starts to get too thick and firm, I can simply reheat it slightly. And do that with the remainder. So I've coated the 24 raspberry ruffle coconut balls, and I'm going to leave that chocolate to set up probably for 15 or 20 minutes, and then I'll come back and we'll have a taste. I let the raspberry ruffles set up and they firmed up nicely, so I've cut one in half. So this is what they look like, and they're a good size. You could actually make them slightly smaller, I think, if you wanted to. But I'll have a taste of this one. That's very good. They do taste very much like the raspberry ruffles that you can buy in the shop, with that combination of flavours, the chocolate, the coconut and the raspberry. Maybe slightly firmer than the ones in the shop. You could actually address that potentially by grinding the desiccated coconut to a smaller size, perhaps. But I think these are very good. And they're ideal, I think, at this time of year for putting sort of 2 or 3 or 4 in a bag and giving them out as gifts at Christmas, as well as enjoying for yourself. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you subscribe, remember to also hit the bell icon, click on it, and that will then ensure that you receive messages when I post new videos. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for this recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.